Hello, folks, and welcome to the Friend or Foe series, season 4. I'm your friendly neighborhood shoutcaster, Sharigan, and if you hear that, oh boy, in the background, that is my buddy Anti. He is going to be joining me on the caster's desk today. This game, Universal Basic Income versus Team H Block, I am excited to see. I don't know about you, Anti.
I am incredibly excited. Universal Basic Income, an incredibly strong team. Last season's champions. We've seen what they can do, and we know that they're looking strong as ever. Freelancer back in the top lane. We no longer have Joshi subbing in. And H Block, a team coming down from the Mythic League, a team that I've played against before. And honestly, they're looking really solid. And the Nico ban immediate from YUBI tells us that YUBI thinks the same.
Yep, Freelancer is back from his business trip, and he is ready to do some business here on the Rift. And just based on the way YUBI has been performing this season, they have really not slowed down from last season. They have shown to be a force to be reckoned with and are really hard to deal with. I do think, though, that Team H Block is probably one of the few teams that is able to contend with them. So this is going to be an exciting matchup just regardless. And we do see a lot of respect bans coming out from both sides, taking away H Block's Vayne as definitely an option, and then they're also getting rid of the Malzahar and Shen, both of which have been really important. And with that Jarvan pickup, though, you just already know Universal is looking to go in hard engage.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things is that H Block takes away the Nocturne to more specifically deter the Nocturne Galio combo. And with that, they also take away the Malzahar. So both of these bans, while they're not technically pivoted around Civillock, they really are more of a testament to Civillock as a player rather than Utility Monster and Civillock both being good players.
Yes, they getting rid of that Galio combo is definitely something really important. We do see an Aphelios being picked up right here. Aphelios, again, we've seen him used on the Rift a lot more often lately, and I think that we're just going to keep seeing him more and more. He does provide a lot of utility to his team in the terms of the amount of damage he can put out and just the amount of extra stuff he can do with all those different guns, like Gravitum and Celebrum being able to hit at long range. It's a great combo there. And we do see the respected Iceborns coming from Universal right there with the Ashe and Lissandra pickups.
Yeah, and that's an interesting pickup here because one of the things I was going to say is that while you've taken away the Nocturne Galio combo, you do have Jarvan Galio, which also is an incredibly strong combo, and Lissandra, blind, one of Civillock's best picks. But Civillock still has Galio on the board, still has Corki on the board, but we're just going to lock it in here. I doubt that's going to go top lane. It's been a long time since we've seen Lissandra anywhere other than the mid lane. And the Apheli Thresh is going to end up being locked in for H Block. Now, the great thing about picking up Thresh in rotation 3 is that you can pick the Thresh blind and then ban away Thresh's counters.
Yep, you certainly can, and they're already getting rid of that Leona, so they don't have to worry about that, although I think that one's much more of a skill matchup than it is a direct counter for the Thresh.
The Nautilus, on the other hand, absolutely.
Absolute direct counter. That is definitely one of those ones you just got to get rid of, and you do not want Brian saying on a Nautilus at all.
I don't know how many of you have been in a cast with me before, but anytime I've been talking about YUBI and Brian saying Nautilus, it's like you're in the dead of night. No sounds, no light, nothing around, and you just wake up screaming, Brian saying Nautilus, look out of the fog of war.
Yep, that is definitely terrifying. They did leave the Blitzcrank open, so that is definitely an option to see Brian saying picked up. It's kind of the reverse Nautilus, where it's instead of him going to you, you're coming to him, which is terrifying in and of itself, because everyone wants to get away from Brian saying anyway. And whoa, boy, here we go.
We're just coming out. All right,
I called it.
Interesting. I like it a lot, but at the same time, H Block have shown that they're absolutely willing to play around bot side. And Universal Basic Income, their team right now, Ashe, Blitzcrank, very good if you do get that initial hook. But if you don't get anything started, there's very little peel for the Ashe. There's not that much you're going to be able to do. And unless Freelancer is going to slam Pro Loophole in the top lane, I don't know if YUBI is going to actually be in a good position for this. I think that H Block genuinely have a really strong composition that has a very clear focus on what they want to do and how they're going to accomplish it.
Exactly, and with that Rise as well, you're going to have the just the ganking potential and the roaming potential from that Rift Walk that is going to allow you to kind of jump over walls, get behind targets, get your allies out, and it's going to help them play around that bot side a lot more. And with a Malphite in the top lane, you've got a really safe top lane against, especially against a Kennen. That's just going to allow you to do a lot of damage. And then when those team fights finally start happening, Xin Zhao's going to jump in, knock somebody up, but they're just going to stay juggled as Malphite comes in and knocks them up yet again.
Honestly, this is a really interesting draft. I like it a lot. I think that personally, I would say I don't know who to give it to. Whoever gets the first blood might just straight up win the game, though.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. The first blood is going to be really, really important in this set of this kind of a matchup. I kind of think that it's going to go to Universal just because they have the far more aggressive bot lane. That Blitzcrank Ashe is going to be really, really devastating, really hard to deal with. But as this game goes on, scaling on H block.
Like I understand what you're saying there. I don't know if I necessarily agree because Apheli Thresh is the hey, we're better than you in bot lane. We are absolutely going to slam it. And those two are an incredibly lane-dominant combo. And Ashe Blitzcrank, sure, if you get the hook, you can absolutely slam it. And like I said, First Blood decides this entire game. But if in the case that Brian Sang isn't able to get a hook, and H-Block and Jita, genuinely really strong laners, if they don't open themselves up for it, sometimes you just can't get it. And Apheli Thresh will continually choke out that lane. So I don't know if I'd necessarily give it to YUBI based off of that. What we do know is that YUBI has what they want to play around, and H-Block is very, very telegraphed in, hey, we want to play around bot lane. So if YUBI don't play around that, then H-Block should be able to do it just fine.
You would, yeah, that's definitely like potentially out there. I'm leaning in terms of H block for who's gonna win this game overall, just because I really like the amount of damage that Ryze is able to put out, and then if Aphelios is able to come online, he's gonna be a really hard threat to deal with. The thing that Yuumi has in their favor is going to be the amount of CC and the fact that Lissandra can just completely remove a target from the fight, or they can drop themselves into the middle of the fight and use the Glacial Prison on themselves, basically allowing them to stay there like a free Zhonya's, but damaging the area around them, providing some extra support.
Yeah, at this point, it's a question of who's going to get dropped in the fights, and we're dropping in on the Rift, and we're getting a relatively standard start right now. Just getting a normal
I think we're getting a very unusual standard start with this 5-man thing. Every time I've seen a blitz, I always expect them to go straight into the enemy jungle with the rest of the other 5. So the fact that we're not getting that early invade shows that YUBI is actually giving a lot of respect to H-Block, and H-Block is also kind of aware of it. Again, we've seen this happen many, many times. The fact that Jita is sitting in that top tri-brush means he does not have vision of the river, so they could be easily sneaking up there. And the fact that we have Aphelios just hanging out by tier 2 tower, I'm not entirely sure if that means that they're just like, okay, we're just going to give all the wards, let the wards do the defending. In the meantime, we're just going to hang back. But it's kind of, I
don't know. I like the wards because you see that H-Block are respecting the Blitzcrank invade. And like I said, First Blood decides the flow of this game so much that you absolutely cannot give it over. At this point, you just want to play that defensively. And once laning phase starts, sure, go ham. You have the winning lanes. Just go for it. But right now, not too much that you have to do.
Yeah, not too much at all. We're going to get a pretty clear start from Xin Zhao. He's going to be going probably blue-red is my guess, so he's just going to get that buff clear and go straight for Scuttle, potentially trying to control this top side, just so that way he can make sure that Malphite is safe and able to farm freely, and then he can start focusing on the bot side so that they're able to get those Drakes and get that bot lane rolling. I do see that Jarvan, though, has started at his Gromp, so he's probably looking to basically just straight counter jungle.
I think that at this point, Xin Zhao is probably just going to go for a full clear of the bot side, look to see if they can get a gank off in mid, and then if not, just go for a top side clear. But YUBI have vision on the top side, so once they see that, it's going to be kind of rough.
It's a
good
nice
hook coming out
of the blitz, yeah. Don't want to go in on that, but that's a good hook.
Yeah, and that level 2 is incredibly volatile. And Floral and Ferluple honestly playing it really well. As long as nothing happens in this lane, they're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, we do see that Yubi has got some good wave control going on right now. Freelancer's got himself a nice push heading into this tower, but Jita's looking to freeze it. Doing all right. It's getting a little bit dicey up there, so no dives are going to be happening anytime soon. He doesn't have to worry about that. But once J4 does start roaming topside, it's going to be really risky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like the wave management from Freelancer initially, where they were looking to push in waves 2 and 3 under tower and just get a cheater back. But unfortunately, wave 4 already came in, and this is a difficult position for Freelancer to be in.
It is.
If Idris was keen to that, I honestly think Freelancer could have just straight up died from that.
Yeah, see, we already have the nice roam right now. Xin is going for that top scuttle. We do have a ward that was placed by Rise, and so probably going to see Xin Zhao pick up this rift, and we might be seeing him engage on this gank in the top lane.
Right now, I see HBlock is in a good position. Honestly, playing really safe, knows where their jungler is, getting a good trade-off in the mid lane. And this is looking quite good for HBlock right now.
It is looking pretty good for HBlock. HBlock is definitely, like, they were going to go for that top lane gank, but we do see that a ward had been placed, so Freelancer was ready for it. Does have it cleared, but J4 decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead, move down here, get the bottom scuttle. They do spot him out, so they are aware of his location. Lots of really good positioning coming out of both of these teams right now.
And one of the big things that we see here is that it's Malphite Kennen. Malphite is doing all right, taking the Comet. And one of the big things about Malphite top with Comet is that, honestly, Malphite's damage, not very... You honestly don't do much damage as Malphite, even with Comet, until you hit level 5. Once you hit level 5, and you have 3 points on that Q is going to start hurting a lot. And all of a sudden, now you can get that lane priority, and you actually feel like you're playing a champion, instead of just, hey, I hit Q when my Comet is up, and it does a little bit of damage, and I miss a lot of CS, but it's fine.
The problem is if you have no mana, you can't really throw out that shard, so you aren't really able to do anything.
Yeah, and that Doran shield start is definitely going to hurt. But at the same time, Jita's staying pretty healthy, got a pot on board. The mana flow ban should end up helping out overall, and Freelancer going to continually push this in. But as we've seen, this is in a Felly Thresh bot lane. There's no reason for Xin Zhao to really be coming top. And the more that Jita can draw pressure up here and stay alive, honestly, is the goal.
I do want to say that it looks like J4 is sneaking the Drake right now, so I don't believe that HBlock is aware of this. Yeah, so they're not quite aware of it. He's getting really, really low. He's not going to get executed because the bot lane actually rotated up, but that is going to be first Drake going over to the side of UB Versal Basic Income. We're probably going to be seeing, my guess would be, an Infernal Drake coming out for this game. And so picking up that Cloud Drake is going to be really good because you're going to have that little bonus movement speed. It's going to help you get around the map a little bit faster. Try and out jungle that Xin Zhao. Look at this nice damage coming out from HBlock as he's jumping onto Civlock, but he gets Glacial.
Oh my god.
That's going to be 2 flashes coming out in the mid lane, which is going to keep the first blood from coming down.
Yeah, like I said, that first blood so instrumental. And HBlock honestly doing a lot with no real damage items. That was a tier to... I'm not sure if that lost chapter was actually fully completed from Civlock. But if it was, that's insane.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it was just a Dark Seal. I don't think he'd finished the lost chapter quite yet. But still, just the fact that he was able to do as much with that tier. Rise as a champion, just if he's able to get his combos off on you, it really is just disgusting how much damage he can output very quickly.
Yeah, and
Blitzcrank hook goes a little wide.
Yeah, one of the big things here that we've noticed is that YUBI have found a way to get that first dragon. Oh, Idri's in trouble here.
Good steal by Jeff God Gamer to take that scuttle. That's going to be double flashes coming out, knockup coming out as well. Brian Singh is going to be looking for that. Oh, misses the blast cone, and that is going to be poor Idris getting over the wall. Beautiful lantern by Pro Lupul, throwing it over the edge, just managed to get his ally out. Then it's going to be a triple blast cone out. Idris has got 10 health. He's just got to avoid getting hit by a volley, because that would be really unfortunate.
Yeah, and Floral still has the heal. Like, that was such good damage assessment right there. And really well played from the side of HBlock and YUBI both.
Yeah, that was definitely a pucker factor of 11 though for poor Idris. He was trying to do just do a normal clear, just trying to get himself a little scuttle. That's all he wanted. But Jeff God Gamer had other plans. So that's going to set him back a little bit because as we saw, they cleared out his blue buff. So Xin Zhao's going to have to go topside now and not going to be able to get blue buff for a little while. Though that would have been going over to Rise anyway. With that, we're probably going to be seeing him put pressure on this Rift Scuttle up top, the Rift Herald, in order to pick that up here next.
Yeah, I see interesting stuff from Brian Sang walking up
look
here,
at that.
not in a great
From
position.
the Gravitum, we got a Shuriken going back and forth.
All right, and they're hitting level 6 on the bot lane here, and HBlock still no level 6 yet. So YUBI are able to walk up, should be able to get a plate here, and put themselves in a really good position.
Yeah, they've got themselves in a really nice spot.
Is that 5 health on the plate or something?
I think it is. God. It's got to be like someone just has to sneeze on it. The fact that it's just hitting over there, that's 1 pixel. You're just looking for that chip damage at this point. Don't really care about just getting it. You just want to knock it down.
Yeah, just ult the tower, just hit it with a super, kill it with chip.
Yep.
Right there it is. 180 gold. 160 gold right over.
Right there. That is going to be a really nice pickup. They're going to get the first 2 plates here, most likely. That is a hook thrown out, but the minion's going to be able to block it, so Perlupal is safe. Probably not a bad spot for him to not get hooked, because I have a feeling at this point they could easily dive him. Looking here, though, Civillock is getting the root, getting the Glacial Prison down. That's going to be a double knock-up as we see poor old Rise getting caught out there. Nothing to do as he just gets completely obliterated, and first blood goes over to the utility monster.
Yeah, and just like that, that's the Lissandra Classic. If you're not taking cleanse into that, you are absolutely being... Oh my god!
Ooh, look at the damage from Idris trying to do some work, but the minions are just too strong, and that is going to be a double kill for utility monster in the mid lane.
Oh, what a heartbreaker. Ichi's got so close to taking down Civillock there, but unfortunately just barely wasn't able to do it.
I think that's probably like 20 health on the Lissandra, and that's always the roughest thing you see, because you just know you're like, I just needed one more sneeze. Just need to get a little virus proc on him, that's all it is.
And like I was saying earlier...
Ooh, here we go, we have the round one coming out. Knock up from the Malphite. Rise is coming into the top lane. That's going to be a flash by Freelancer to escape. And so that's going to be a ended gank, but that right there is going to be why H-Block is so important on this Rise, because he's able to just make so much impression, a huge impression on the rest of the map.
Yeah, and really interestingly, that's Nimbus Cloak on the Kennen, so that flash means that Kennen gets away so much faster than you'd normally expect to see.
Yeah, a fast Kennen is just scary in and of itself, but a fast Kennen running away from you is just depressing.
Yeah, and H-Block getting a good trade-off should be able to secure the Ocean Drag here if they continue with this. One of the big things here is that Jeff God Gamer is about 20 CS over Floral in a very bot lane focused composition from H-Block. So I think YUBI are in such a good position, and they're going right in.
But isn't quite able to do it. Crescent's not coming out because he's just getting knocked up, and that's going to be a huge cataclysm, as that is going to be 3 members of H-Block going down to Jeff God Gamer. Utility Monster picking up yet another kill, and that was just absolutely devastating. That is going to be a reversal, as they're going to be the ones to take the Ocean Drink.
And YUBI were not in the greatest of positions there to begin with, but just like that, you have the Ashe Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming in clutch, and you got such a good engage out of what originally looked like a really bad position. Then the follow-up TP from Freelancer, really nice. Jita could have TP'd at that point, and Freelancer going right in.
He's going to get a lot of damage onto H-Block. H-Block getting really, really low. He does get the Rune Prison out, isn't able to quite hit the secondary proc. There's going to be double flashes coming out. Ryan Sang misses the Blitzcrank hook that was like the face plant, and is unable to connect. So that is going to be H-Block surviving to fight another day.
And H-Block honestly is drawing a lot of pressure in this mid lane, but their bot lane is where they need all of this gold and pressure, and they're unfortunately not able to convert. And Floral, as we saw earlier, got a really great Crescendo multi, and if Floral was able to continue to auto-attack, that would have been terrifying as hell. We've seen that before. We've seen the 1v3s, the 1v2s, and Aphelios with items will make those Crescendum stacks really terrifying, but Floral's not in that position yet.
Floral is not in that position, and as of right now, we do see that the scaling on the side of HBlock is going to be their winning condition in this game. They're going to have to be really careful here. They are going for Rift Herald, and with the Infernal Soul, if they manage to pick up 4 Infernal Drakes onto this HBlock comp, that is going to be so much damage coming out from them. Just basically, Floral will start wiping the floor with them as Aphelios, and it could get really disgusting. However, YUBI is in a very good position right now. They've got a very comfortable gold lead, very comfortable lane positioning, and so as of this moment, they are probably going to be the ones who are in control of this game.
And honestly, right now, if you take a quick look, YUBI is up 10 to 20 CS in every lane with the exception of mid lane, and HBlock, like I said, is playing very well. HBlock, the Rise player, not the team right now, is playing incredibly well and equalizing very strongly, but unfortunately has no cleanse into Lissandra, so every time that ult is up, Utility Monster can just walk on by and be like, hey, another kill for me? Don't mind if I do.
Yeah, the cleanse is it's very unfortunate that he doesn't have it. Brian saying missing yet another hook. I'm not entirely sure if he's just doing it on purpose at this point.
Oh.
We do have Jita coming around, but he is spotted out, gets hit by the arrow, but it's not going to matter. The Unstoppable Force still comes out, and there comes the hook. They were committed to this dive. They wanted to take Jeff God down, and they do manage to do it. That, however, is going to be a tower shot coming down to take out poor old Jadea, but that is going to be a Rift Herald drop as well, which is going to be a nice number of plates. Brian saying, looking to kind of protect this tower, but he should probably just back off at the moment.
And Brian looking to protect this tower. HBlock dying in the mid lane.
HBlock does die in the mid lane, so we'll have to check on that. That was real. Look at that nice hook coming out from Floral. Brian saying getting pulled back. He's not able to escape the cage quite yet. Chooses not to go in to the wall, so he's not getting the slow. We do see Utility Monster has joined in on the fight. However, the fight's going on in the background. We're getting trolled by the Riot camera as we move away from the bot lane. And that looks like Brian saying was taken down by Floral.
Yeah, honestly, at that point, Brian Sang staying a little bit too long, and the Severum Crescendum combo from Floral is so terrifying to play against.
It is gross. Crescendum is by far probably one of the things that's just like Aphelios' signature ability, because you think like he's got the sniper rifle, so he's just taking little pew shots, but then he gets that Crescendum, walks right up in your face and just chucking all these little mini shuriken in your face and just bouncing them around.
Yeah, it's just like that. You're sitting in bot lane, everything's fine. He's got Calibrum, and it's like, okay, he's got a little bit more attack range. You get hit by an ulti, okay, he's gonna do a little bit of damage to me. He's got 30 chakrams in his hands.
Yep.
Oh dear lord.
It just gets gross. All right, that was a great play though by Jadea going down. And that was a very committed dive. They totally wanted that. They timed it so that they were probably trying to get the plates, but I think that it's better that they didn't, because it does mean that we see Jadea getting caught by a Blitzcrank hook, one of the long range at the back end hooks, but he's going to be able to walk out because he's just too dang tanky.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Jita just should leave top lane, just let the tower fall. You should be able to farm things up anyway. So it's not a bad position to be in. Like, the wave state will be able to get to you in time. You will be able to get back in time for it. And Utility Monster going right in.
Trying to get the Pro Loophole. Pro Loophole is like, nah, it's okay. I got my buddies here, so we're going to be fine. He's getting really low. That's going to be Jeff God Gamer getting knocked up, getting thrown around. Look at that. Lissandra coming in, getting that Utility Monster, getting the cleanup, though. And that is going to be Idris having to back out as that fight turned around, went in the favor of Universal Basic Income, even though they were able to pick up a few kills for HBlock.
Yeah, a few kills going over to HBlock, but unfortunately not able to protect Floral, and this entire composition revolves around either Floral or HBlock in terms of damage.
Yes, however, there is a nice, tasty bounty on Utility Monster. They definitely want to get it. We got... knock up to stop the Realm Warp, and there is nowhere for him to go. He's just trying to get over the wall, can't quite escape. J4 taking the Blast Cone in order to get behind him and just make it to where there is nowhere for this HBlock to go. They should just go back home.
Yeah, and with another bloodthirsty hook, Brian Sang gonna secure the kill on Idris, and means that they're going to get to Soul Point on Infernal Soul.
And see, I'm going to say it again. I think those earlier hooks that we're seeing Brian Sang miss, those were deliberate. He was deliberately missing. He was trying to lull them into a false sense of security.
It's all conditioning. It's all part of the play.
It's like, oh, I'm going to throw it wide to the left, to the left, to the left, and now you're going to go right, and I'm going to go right.
Genuinely, there's one thing that I will do myself every once in a while when I'm playing a hook support, which is... I'll start the first part of the match throwing hooks directly where they are and seeing which direction they dodge. And that's one of those things that you'll see from higher level players where they're going to gain information from the first hooks, not necessarily looking for the kills, but obviously if it hits, it's a kill. Why not?
That's all about those mind games because this is League of Legends. It is not Smite, so you got to make sure that you're playing things correctly.
And one of the big things here is that we have Freelancer in split pushing the side lanes and not playing that signature Wukong, but still about 50 CS up on the Kennen, which is another champion with an incredible team fight deciding ultimate.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm going to point out the bounties once again. We do have, like, just the size of the bounties on the Lissandra and J4 they're good and they're bad. Because basically it means that they're so far ahead that they should be able to do stuff fine. Look at that nice crystal arrow. Good blitzcrank hook. That is going to be absolutely nothing for ProLupal to do. He's going to have to flash over the wall and still goes down. That's just, you hate to see that kind of thing happen. And that is going to be YUBI cracking this game wide open.
Yeah, and just like that, it seems they're just going to parade on down the mid lane, and they're looking to make a flank with Jita here.
Right there, Idris getting a nice shot. He didn't actually manage to hit anyone, so he knocked everybody away. He is able to protect himself from a lot of the damage from Ash, but is not quite able to survive for the rest of it. That is going to be Kennen getting himself a couple of kills, diving in onto the back line. Lissandra picking it up as Civillock goes yet again 4-0 and 5. We could be seeing him and Utility Monster going for a perfect game this game.
All right, H-Block just going to chase out Freelancer
getting
here.
A nice pickup right there on the Kennen. That was a good use of the Realm Warp, kind of baiting it out, to making him think he wasn't actually going to take it, and then stepping onto the edge.
Yeah, but what an unfortunate engage from H-Block there. Jita had a perfect flank, and Idris ulting on top of it, trying to add on to the damage, but unfortunately going to knock everyone away from Floral's Inferno multi.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have a feeling that what he was trying to do there was he thought he'd hit somebody, so he was trying to lock down most likely Jeff. Wasn't quite able to do it. This is going to be a really quick look at that. That is the Blitzcrank Lollipop. That is broken. Come on, Riot, you need to fix your game. But that is going to be them picking up the Rift Herald just as the Baron spawns. That is the worst thing that could have happened for H-Block in this situation.
Yeah, and while it might look like a lollipop, one of the big things about League of Legends is that League of Legends is actually a three-dimensional game. And the ground on the Rift itself is on a different elevation from the river. So if you're firing a skill shot from the river, it can actually be a little bit below or above depending on which side of the Rift you're on. And it'll hit because the skill shot itself is traveling across a 3D plane. So it actually looks visually different to where the hitbox actually is.
In most cases, you would be correct, except for the fact that they have shown that Blitzcrank's hook does have a lollipop, which is very, very annoying.
It definitely does. I'm just referring to
but
hooks
yes,
from the
it does
river
extend that range because it's an ellipsy, I think is what it's called, not a circle, which is good and bad, but is the problem of the 2.5D. So either way, that is going to put YUBI in a very good position for this game, and it's going to be really tough for H-Block to come back into this, but they still have a chance. This game isn't over yet. There's only 21 minutes into this game, but that is going to be a lot of resources over to YUBI for this. Oh man, please no. All right,
should be a hook.
Oh, there it is. That's the hook going right below, but however, that's going to be ProLupal latching onto the Lissandra, but he's not going to go back in. Doesn't have his teammates there to follow up. They are going to try and prep for this Drake, though, just trying to de-ward and trying to get themselves some good space. Look at that. We have another hook coming out. Just misses Idris.
He is human. It does happen.
Oh, that was rough. Oh, good drop of the Rift Herald in the mid lane. It's going to start pressuring, which is going to make them question going for this Drake. But either way, we got the Crystal Arrow coming in. Good block by Idris as he manages to absorb it. We have the ulti coming out from Aphelios, but he's been hit by the Glacial Prison. Does manage to pick up the kill there, though. Look at that. The Crescendum just coming out doing so much damage, but he's going to get knocked up, and that is going to be the rest of the kills cleaned up by Ash as Jeff God Gamer gets himself a double kill in response to Floral's double kill.
Yeah, and just like that, Utility Monster going to go over to the Dragon, secure that soul, while Jeff and Brian walk right down mid lane, going to take that inhib. And it looked so good for H-Block for a short moment. With those Crescendum stacks, Floral was living for so long, picked up 1,000 gold on the Lissandra shutdown. But unfortunately, they didn't have that gold at the beginning of the fight. And YUBI were able to walk in and just kind of smack them with their wallets and say, hey, we have 10k gold on you, so we're just going to take this and walk away.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you were talking about the lack of cleanse on the rise for this game. I think that the lack of cleanse on Floral as well is also pretty devastating. You could have used it in order to avoid a lot of the CC coming out from Ashe and Blitzcrank. So at the same time, you really want to be seeing some QSSs in order to try and avoid some of the CC, because that has been the Achilles heel for H-Block during this encounter.
Yeah, what can I say except pay the Lysandra tax?
Mm-hmm. That's what you got to do. If you're taking a scaling comp, you got to pay the taxes in order to last to the end of the game.
And one of the big things here is I've been hyping up Brian saying Nautilus, this season, last season, every season we've seen it. But dear Lord, honestly, it's not Brian saying Nautilus. It's just Brian saying.
You just hear that robotic laugh in your nightmares. Just that ha ha,
dear God.
Ha ha ha. That's like, oh, please stop, for the love of God.
The time of man has come to an end.
It's almost worse than the Ezreal laugh. Almost. All right, and this Baron pickup, I think, is going to be really easy for YUBI to pick up. They're going to be looking to try and get a look at nice hook over the wall. That is going to be a flash over as well by Brian Saint to prevent any escape, and that is going to be a dead Idris. YUBI has got this game in the bag. Look at that. We have the Malphite trying to go in and do something. Just doesn't know what. I don't even see where he came from.
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
He just appeared. I think he unstoppable forced over the wall trying to steal it and just wasn't able to do it. But either way. All right.
Right now, YUBI are in a phenomenal position, and H-Block cannot be staying here.
They can't. He's going to go down immediately. That is going to be the TP in order to stop the turret from actually changing targets and killing anyone. That is going to be really, really rough. This is going to be a top inhibitor turret down, probably top inhibitor as well, as there's just nothing that H-Block can do to stem this tide. The Crimson blood must flow. Look at that. We have Brian Saint getting knocked under tower, but it's not going to really matter as he goes down, and that's going to be a Ghost chasing down Jita. Isn't quite able to pick it up, so he's not going to get any damage from the Lysandra passive. And then we just have Floral poking out the minions in the back here, but they're just Baron empowered, so there's not a lot he can do at the moment.
Oh, we got that Q just following Freelancer all the way back to base, but he's going to TP right back in.
Yet another TP and another Crystal Arrow. That is going to be a lot of damage that just gets completely negated as the ulti from Aphelios goes wide. Doesn't manage to find a target, and that is going to be the Nexus falling in a 25.5-minute game for YUBI versus Basic Income.
Yeah, and just like that, H-Block looks like they had such a good comp, and they looked like they had a confident answer to play against YUBI. But unfortunately for them, YUBI is pretty good at League of Legends.
Yeah, they know how to play the game. They know how to beat you, and they know your number. And unfortunately, H-Block gets taken down handily. I do think, though, that this game was very well played by them in a lot of ways. They did just get outclassed and outplayed. So I think that they need to look at this game and be like, okay, where did we make a mistake? What do we need to do in order to improve on the next time? And there is definitely, I think, a clear path for them to actually pull out a win against YUBI in the future. However, YUBI has proven once again they are the team to beat. They're the ones you've got to be afraid of.
And one of the big things I want to see teams moving forward picking up is that Freelancer can play more than just Wukong, and Utility Monster, honestly, has been a beast on Jarvan and Morgana from last season. And this season, Jarvan's one of the best champions in the game. You cannot let this Jarvan go through draft.
No, you really can't. Jarvan has proven time and time again that he is a very powerful champion. He is the king for a reason, and it is just absolutely devastating. The Demacian guardsman just wasn't able to do enough. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. This is just, it was a rough game to watch, but you're always looking forward to seeing it. So stick around. We'll be right back.
次期伝説と古元流大魔王術許しを得たのがこの翌日。
Hello everyone, Chris Edgeworth again, here for our third interview of the night. I am joined by Universal Basic Income's Civilok. How are you feeling after the big win today?
Feeling pretty good, honestly. I was honestly a little nervous going into this one, but I think we really held it together and we relied on each other as a team, and it really showed today, I think.
And the undefeated streak continues. So let's talk a little bit about the draft that you folks put together, and then what you're up against. So you folks were, I believe yesterday on the desk we were talking about how the target of this game was going to be Flora L in the bot lane. With all the King's horses and all the King's men could not make Aphelios 200 years again, unfortunately, this game. So they had the Aphelios Thresh. You folks brought out the Lissandra on your end, and Brian with the spicy Blitzcrank. Talk to me about what your thoughts were on what you folks were putting together, and then what you thought about what you're up against.
Yeah. So going into this, we had the bans were pretty expected. They banned Nocturne, Malstar, and Shen away from us. We've shown really good performances on all those champions, and to HBlock's credit, they finally figured out that you don't have to ban Nocturne and Galio. You, in fact, only need to ban one of them, and the other one's still good, but not nearly as backbreaking. So we definitely want to scoop Jarvan. First pick, it's just really good this patch. I don't want to spoil too much, but it can also go to other positions. Xin is the response, who's another strong early game jungler. So right off the bat, we know that this is going to be kind of like a knife fight, and we're going to be fighting in the early game. They respond with the Aphelios, and then we actually opt into Ashe Lissandra to kind of consolidate this lockdown composition. That's mainly a response to HBlock. Because after looking at his champion pool, kind of assessed that he's sort of a one-dimensional champion pool. He plays a lot of mobile assassins, and our thought process is we can just play a bunch of lockdown characters. If he wants to force the assassin into it, by all means, he can go ahead. If he wants to play for a better matchup that he's less comfortable with, then we're willing to allow that. That's sort of what happened. They opt in the Rise into the Lissandra, and then they get the Malphite into our Kennen. So overall, their lane matchups are okay, and they have this strong skirmishing enabled by Xin Zhao. So our thought process is technically they outscale us super late. All we have to do is wait for a mid-game wake up. So we didn't really go into it with the idea like we need to smash all our lanes. It's just we can play calmly in lane, scale up to like our one-item spike when Rise and Aphelios are in a huge power trough, but Lissandra, Ashe, and Kennen are power spiking, and then once we sync up our power spikes, we can take over the map.
Let's talk a little bit. That was an excellent answer. Thank you so much. First of all,
yeah, of course, of course.
let's talk a little bit about HBlock, the player, not the team in this regard. You're matching up against him in the mid lane. He was actually quite good in this game. I thought a little underappreciated, because of the scoreline, but I thought he held his own pretty well. And has been good in the other matchups for HBlock throughout this season. You were on the Lissandra against this one. What are your thoughts on HBlock in that matchup? But also, what are your thoughts on breaking out the Lissandra? Were you back to Lissandra, taking this guy back to school, or is this just a good pick in the meta?
Yeah. I think the scoreline is a little misleading, and we did win decisively. I'm not gonna beat around the bush, but our advantages didn't really come out of lane, and playing lane against HBlock is actually quite difficult. This is not a great matchup for Lissandra early. I need to have ultimate in order to really be safe, and Xin Zhao is a lot stronger than Jarvan in the 2v2. Like, Jarvan is really good ganks, but if Lissandra, Jarvan's fighting to the death against Rise Xin Zhao, we lose that every time. So I actually have to be really careful about my wave control, and HBlock actually has a really good sense of like lane threat and supporting Xin Zhao's map move. Like, his lane leaning is actually quite good. So there are several ways where I messed up my wave and actually had to zone myself off of creeps. But thankfully, I was able to complete fast Lost Chapter and then equalize the lane after that. And once Lost Chapter is finished, Rise enters this awkward itemization phase where he's just sitting on all these components, he's charging his tier, and that's when Jarvan and Lissandra are able to take over the game. But yeah, HBlock's really strong, and I can tell that He has a lot of synergy with his jungler, the way they posture on the map and ward for each other. I think they have a lot of potential, and I think they're the strongest mid jungle duo we've played against so far.
Speaking of the jungle, one thing that we did want to touch on here was your thoughts on the jungle matchup and the jungle tracking, as it were. Utility Monster was playing, as Fang was saying in the chat, I believe, one of the best games that he's ever seen out of Utility Monster. At least probably for the season, for sure. It was absolutely popping off this game on the Jarvan. As you say, it's very strong in this on this patch, rather. What are your thoughts on this jungle matchup and how it went?
Yeah, like honestly, Jarvan really took over the game really early on, and a lot of it came out of Jarvan calling Sinjot's rotation. We ended up with some really valuable level 1 wards after we saw them poke a little bit into the bottom river, and once we confirmed they weren't stacking, a Freelancer and I pushed up a ward in a Raptor pit. So since we identified Sinjot started bottom side and we spotted him at Raptor, having done 3 camps with 12 CS, we knew that he was committing for kind of a slow clear route. And after that, we were basically able to track his quadrant for the next 7 or 8 minutes. So unfortunately, the way Sinjot was clearing and the way his team was supporting his vision, he wasn't ever able to get somewhere we didn't know about, and then we just backed off on that side of the map while we let Jarvan do his thing. He got a crab as Jarvan against Sinjot, which is incredible. And then after that, we're just playing to our win condition, looking for picks.
Excellent. Well, Civillock, thanks so much for this interview. Appreciate it a lot. Congratulations. Before we step away, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave with us on the desk?
Yeah, I guess I do really want to shout out my team. I feel like I played pretty well today, but we're considering giving Brian the interview, and Brian actually declined. He's like, I think Civillock played really well today. And also, I think everyone want to acknowledge my hero Galio play from yesterday, which I really appreciate, So, I don't think I'm like the most glamorous and most flashy player on the team, but I know what my job is, and I play for my team, and I show it when I need to show up and get all the boys out alive with good KDAs. So shout out to Brian, shout out to Josh for giving me all that jungle information, and shout out to Freelancer for out damaging Blitzcrank this game.
The true humble mid laner, being willing not only to play Galio, but then to follow that matchup with Alessandra, dude. Honestly, just, give that guy a stayed cool, give him the GG,
Yeah.
give him the honor.
I'm afraid of getting outplayed, but if they can't move, then they can't outplay me. So
Facts.
perfect. It's good for my ego.
Yeah, bringing a lot of CC is great, but the best CC is always death. So,
Indeed.
all right. Thanks so much, Civillock, for this interview. Folks, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be back soon with our final game of the day, so don't go anywhere.